The HSTACK function is pretty easy to understand, but it has so many applications in conjunction with other functions that it's really useful to start processing on what types of scenarios you might find yourself in. So the first part, understanding what HSTACK is and what it's for, you just need to know that the H in HSTACK stands for horizontal. Hence, this means that we want to stack things horizontally. So what does it mean to stack things horizontally? It means putting them next to each other side by side. For example, let's say we go to cell J5. We go to the Formulas tab at the top of the screen and click the Lookup and Reference drop-down menu. And here we see HSTACK right after HLOOKUP. The H in HLOOKUP also means horizontal, by the way. So I click here on HSTACK and it says, what's the first array that needs to horizontally stack together? So here, for example, I might highlight all of the products. So I'll highlight the D column, D5 through D52. And let's say right next to that, I just want total sales. So here, for array 2, I highlight H5 through H52. Now, when you're horizontally stacking things together, remember to keep their relative heights the same so that you don't have any weird mismatch of how things are going to align with one another. But now when I click OK, you can see here how easy it is to have product and total sales sit next to each other. And, I can format this up. And let's say that in addition to that, I also wanted to put the production cost next to it as well. Well, I can click back on cell J5. And a quick reference here. This is what's known as a dynamic array function. And what it's doing right now is spilling its values into the cells as necessary. So it kind of feels like HSTACK is in cell I9, or J9, excuse me, but you'll notice if I click on cell J9 that the text up here is grayed out. And that means that it's not actually in that cell, it's simply seeing the effects of what's in cell J5. So if I want to edit this function, I go back to cell J5, I press the F of X button up here at the top of the screen, and you see here we've got array 1 and array 2. And if we go to array 3, we can say something like, oh, I'd like to see the units sold right next to that. So I can highlight the G column, for example, then click OK, and here we have units sold to the right of total sales, because that's what I've asked it that I needed. So what are some other scenarios where we might want to horizontally stack things? Well, let's say, for example, we were going to use the groupby function. If we go to cell N5 and type in =groupby, it'll ask us for the following things. Which cells are we going to group these things together by? Then which cells are we going to do a calculation on? And finally, what does that calculation look like? So here for row fields, I'm going to highlight from cell C5 down to the bottom, cell C52. And then after the comma, I'm going to highlight the total sales column, H5 through H52, like so. And then finally, after the comma, I'll say that I want to sum those things up, close the parentheses, and hit enter. And you can see here that yes, I in fact do have a little table in which we have all of the different product lines down the left-hand side, and then we have the total sales here. Now, I'm going to go back to that function here for a moment, double-click on it, and you'll notice that after sum, I also have, after the comma, whether I want the field headers to be on there. So I'm going to go ahead and say 3. Yes, there are field headers, and I want you to show them, and then hit enter, and there's product line and total sales at the top. Now, where would I bring HLOOKUP into play? Well, let's say that I wanted to do a total of the production cost next to a total of the total sales. Well, an easy way to accomplish that would be to do the following. Here, when I go to where H5 through H52 was, I'm going to say, hey, the values is actually going to be the production cost column next to the total sales column. So instead of H5 through H52, I use an HSTACK function highlighting the production cost column, comma, then highlighting the total sales column, and closing the parentheses. So HSTACK is bringing production cost and total sales next to each other inside of the groupby function. And I hit enter on my keyboard, and there it is. Total sales and production cost side by side. And I have my little report built out very nicely here with the extra stuff that's in the middle being excluded.